Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This is Florence from the Onemorebookpodcast. I am back with a reading wrap-up for April. So I can't believe I say this every time, but April has come and gone. Happy May. I'm ready for May. No, I'm not ready for May, but May is here no matter how ready we are. So let's jump into it. So when it comes to statistics, my book statistics for April, I read a total of, let's just say 6 books. I read 2 audiobooks. I read 3 physical books. I would say 4. I DNF'd 1. So I would say I read a total of 5 books and not 6, because the one I DNF'd, of course, I did not finish. So I am rambling, but I would love to know, how are you doing? How was your reading in April? And if you know of any of these books, or if you have read any of these books, please share with me in the comment section your thoughts about them. And of course, also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And let's start. I will start with the DNF so that we can just get it over with. This is going down River Road by Meja Mwangi. So first of all, Meja Mwangi is one of Kenya's prolific writers. He has written several books and he has won several awards. I bought this book secondhand, so it's not such a big let's say financial loss, but it's more of an emotional loss because I really wanted to love this book. I made a resolution to my reading resolution this year to read at least 1 book by a Kenyan author every month. So this was my pick for April, and I'm so disappointed because I did not like it. First of all, the book is about a man. He's called Ben, and he's a casual laborer. He works on River Road. River Road is like one of those dingy streets. I don't know how it is at the moment, but when I was back in Kenya, it used to be one of those dingy streets where you can actually buy anything. You can buy anything there. Things that are just not legal, things, counterfeits. When you buy anything in River Road, you usually are not so sure if it's real or not. So it just doesn't have a great reputation. So there's a building that is being built around there, and Ben is one of the casual laborers. He works there. He's a total loser, a total dusty. He can't even afford his own life. And then he has like some sort of a girlfriend. And the way he just talks, there's just so much misogyny, and he speaks, I mean, women are just portrayed in a terrible light in this book. The book was published in 1976, so I don't know, I just felt like I have read books that were published in the 1950s, written by African authors, but this was just, I couldn't take it anymore. And then they were using this slang that is really old. Probably it was new at that time, but now it's just like slang. It's outdated. So I cringed anytime I was reading it. It was just, it just drove me so mad. So that's why I DNF'd it. I think I got to. And then the casual laborers, the kind of conversations that they were having, all they were doing was drinking, earning little money, smoking weed, drinking, and going home to their wives, to their women, or going to the pub. Nothing, no like real social life. And then they were broke most of the time. It was just insufferable. Insufferable is the right word for this book. So unfortunately, this was a no for me. I don't know, how far do you get in a book before you DNF it? I asked this on Instagram, and you can also follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. And people said, girl, I only do 3 chapters. Like people were just like, no. And I really tried. I really tried. I think I got to chapter, yeah, or probably chapter 4. Chapter 4, I think. And then I was just like, no, that's enough. So I would not recommend this book. I might try his other books, but at the moment I'm thinking let me find some other Kenyan authors who, I don't know, I don't even believe the reviews that I'm reading when I went on Goodreads. It was just like, huh? Did we read the same book? You know? So it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. A book that I loved, I really, really enjoyed reading is, of course, Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I love this book. I think I will always remember it because it was my first time actually seeing her live. I went to Cologne here in Germany to see her, to attend her book reading when the book was released. So it will have a special place in my heart. And of course, I got the Nigerian copy, which someone shipped for me all the way from Nigeria to Sweden, and then from Sweden, actually, I think it was, to Sweden, no, to the UK, and then from the UK to Sweden, and then from Sweden to me. So this book really traveled, but I'm so happy that I have it. I enjoyed reading it. I feel like when you pick up a book by Chimamanda, you know what you're getting yourself into. Beautiful writing. I mean, this is just proof that she is such a prolific writer. The book explores womanhood, it explores identity, and just the complexities of modern relationships as experienced by 4 African women who are based in the US and the other countries. So the story spans the four characters. So the story spans different continents and different cultures and follows these 4 women. 3 are Nigerian and 1 is, where was she from? The Gambia? Was it Burkina Faso? God, I've forgotten where she's from. Where is she from? Kadiatu. Kadiatu, where are you from? Oh, Kadiatu, where are you from? It's probably one of the French-speaking countries in Africa. So I loved just how she uses her writing. It's very rich and it's very, like, there's a lot of empathy. She writes with an empathetic and a very cultural nuance. And in doing this, she captures just the multifacetedness of experience of these 4 women as they are navigating life, navigating personal and societal challenges, living in Africa, in Nigeria, in the US, and of course traveling also through Europe. And I love that she uses the characters to address like really, really important themes that are current. Themes like gender inequality. She talks about racism. She talks about maternal health or just health of Black women. She talks about emotional fallouts between family members, friends, modern womanhood, relationships between mothers and daughters, dating, just so much is packed in here. And this really offers us a very nuanced portrayal of women living in the African diaspora, because we are not a monolith. You cannot meet one Black woman and you think, oh, now I know everything about Black women. No, she uses the 4 characters to show that we are more than just our vorurteile. What is vorurteile? The perceptions that people have about us. I also find that this book it really reaffirms Chimamanda's status as an amazing storyteller. She's a master of writing, because she in a very new and different way, she delivers a narrative that is intimate but also very expansive, because you kind of get to travel with the characters, but also you feel like you know them personally. I loved it, and it is set in, it's a contemporary fiction novel, so it starts around 2020. So it has, it's recent, so you can still like, you're living in those times, and it's like we have forgotten everything that happened, but when you read it, you actually remember when they're talking about lining up trying to buy toilet paper. I remember all that. So I loved it. I really did. Yeah, I don't regret buying it. I've seen mixed reviews about it, but I think you just need to go into it, not because people are like, oh, I liked Half a Yellow Sun. She has another book, I think Half of a Yellow Sun or something, and this is so. I think you need to go into a book differently, unless if it's a sequel to a previous one, if it's part of a series. But otherwise, for me, I enjoyed it. I loved her writing. She uses so many proverbs. She uses so many new words. I wrote down a lot. So many new words, just random beautiful writing. Like on page 174, where she says, mournful absence as tactile as a presence. Oh, funny things, like for example on page 71, where she says, your children will win beauty contests, like someone telling a couple like they need to hurry up and get married. So just really, I really enjoyed reading this book. So many new words: anachronism, shrew, equanimity, insipid. Like, then I had to like Google what is the meaning of this, and there were, yeah. Let me stop there. I will ramble because of this book. So if you love just beautiful writing, pick this one up. Highly recommend it. Another book that I absolutely enjoyed is The Mountain Sings by Phan Ngüyen. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Kumai is her first name, and then Phan Ngüyen. Phan is the middle and Nguyen is the last one. She's a Vietnamese author. I loved this book. This is her second book that I'm reading. I read Dust Child, which I also really loved. And this I read in time for her. She came to Hamburg. She came to Germany. She's on a book tour for this book. So, no, I think for Dust Child. Dust Child has just been translated into German. So she was in Germany for a book tour, and she came to Hamburg. So of course I went, and it was just magical. She's a poet. She can sing. I was just like, what can this woman not do? She can write. She writes so beautifully. I really enjoyed the book reading, and she signed it, and she's so lovely because I went with both of the books, and here she signed it, and lovely. So this book, it's a multi-generational saga that is set in 20th century Vietnam, which vividly and emotionally captures both like an intimate and an intimate side of Vietnam, and also the political experiences at that time. So the story, it has a dual timeline. So it's told by a grandmother, and a very resilient grandmother, and a very clever and loving granddaughter. So through their storytelling, we get to learn a lot about the things that were happening in Vietnam. really we learn about the traumas that the Vietnamese people underwent, often within their own borders. So it's them living inside their country, so much happening to them, so much harrowing and horror, and just a lot happened to them within their borders. And this is now them living with all this trauma. I love how the author uses proverbs throughout the whole book. And she writes it in Vietnamese and then the meaning in English. And just her overall lyrical prose, you can tell that she is a poet just by reading this. Everything just flows. And her use of the Vietnamese proverbs, spiritual beliefs, and cultural customs really enriches the storytelling, and it brings authenticity to each of the characters' voices. And I think that it gives you, like, when you read it, it gives you this perspective that is often very underrepresented, especially in Western narratives of about the Vietnam War or about just any war. You know, like when someone, a foreigner, talks about a war, they never really know the nuances of the war. So it's very important to read diversely and read about such conflicts from the people who actually experience the conflicts. This is a very essential read for anyone who is interested in historical fiction, intergenerational trauma, family relations, gender inequality, and a non-Western perspective on war. That is like number one. If you want a non-Western perspective about the Vietnam War, then you should definitely pick this up. And also Dust Child. Though in Dust Child, there is some of the characters are foreigners, but all of the characters are Vietnamese. So this is just really you get immersed into the culture. Really, and even the food, she talks about food. I loved it, I really did. Highly recommend it. The next book that I want to talk about is The World Was in Our Hands, Voices from the Boko Haram Conflict, which is edited by Chitra Nagarajan. I'm very grateful to Cassava Republic for sending me a copy of this book to read and review. And also we had the author, Chitra, was a guest on our podcast, and we talked about this book. It has just been released. So, of course, you please pick it up. It's an amazing read. Such an important book. And listen to the podcast episode. I will link it below in the show notes. Check it out. Listen to her. Read the book. Very important. So this is The World Was in Our Hands, Voices from the Boko Haram Conflict. It's a deeply moving collection of interviews. So Chitra interviewed over 47 individuals. Like, she did like 700 interviews just so that she had like these really nuanced ear about the conflict that's happened in the Lake Chad Basin area. So the book is a collection, a series of these interviews of 47 individuals who are affected by the ongoing Boko Haram insurgency in the Lake Chad region. It is something that is still going on. I think that the news, especially foreign news, just came in at the height of it back in 2019, when we all heard about the Chibok girls who were kidnapped from their school, the young girls who were kidnapped from their school. And then I think people moved on to the next conflict, but it's still something that affects people. And it's not just everyone, when they hear anything about Boko Haram, they think about Nigeria. No, it's not only Nigeria, northeastern Nigeria. There's northwestern Chad, northwestern Niger, and parts of Cameroon that were also affected by Boko Haram. And even just the name Boko Haram was a name given to these fighters by people from the outside. They call themselves differently. If you read the book, then you will find out about the different names that they are referred to. So Chitra interviewed a very diverse group, which included women, abducted women. She talked to soldiers, she talked to fishermen, she talked to community leaders, she talked to government officials. And their ages range from like 17 to over almost 100. One was, I think he was 100 years old. He was the oldest person to be interviewed. And this really represents a multifaceted portrayal of the human impact of the conflict. So it's not just a particular group, but like everyone who was affected. And themes that, of course, came up in this book are like, number one, of course, patriarchy, gender inequality, climate change, so important, climate change, corruption, and just mismanagement of funds by the government and the government officials. All these brought together a very nuanced understanding of these crises. And this book is not only just a cultural archive, because Chitra also talks about that, how we as Africans or indigenous people need to tell our own stories and keep our own stories, write them down. So nobody comes in and writes it for us. So it's a very important archive, but also a testament to like the resilience and solidarity amidst adversity. We see how things like everyone, I think when you think about a conflict, you think about like weak women being abducted, or the men are the ones who are the perpetrators. When you read this book, you find there's more to it than just that. It challenges readers to reconsider their perceptions about this Boko Haram conflict. And also it highlights the complexities of like the humanity of those living through it. I love that while I was reading this book, I could see that the narrators were defying like these easy classifications of like victim, perpetrator, agent. Like everyone, like you couldn't really place them in these boxes. And I love that because, yeah, like I said in Mountain Sing, it is important, especially to read about when such conflicts happen, to read about them without the Western influence. That is so important. And I'm so grateful, and I'm in awe of the work and the energy that Chitra put in this book. And there's a lot, but there's, just like I said, there's resilience. Even amidst all these adversity, there is resilience. A very, very moving archive, cultural archive. Very, very moving. Yeah, highly recommend it. The next book that I read in April was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I'll put it here. And it was a thriller. It's supposed to be a psychological thriller. So this was a bestseller. This book was a bestseller thanks to BookTok. I think it came out in 2020. And it is a blend of like a psychological suspense and a deep character study. So the story revolves around this woman called Adichie. She's a famous painter, and she's leading this really idyllic life in this like cute village in London with her husband, who is like also a famous photographer, and everything looks to be rosy and nice. And then one day, there are shots heard in her house, and when the police show up, they find the trigger warning. They find that the husband has been shot 5 times in the face, and Alicia is just sitting there. The gun is there, not saying any word. She does not speak one word from that time on. So of course she's taken to, a lot happens, and then she ends up in a facility, a mental facility called Grove. And this is where the other main character comes in, who is also the narrator of the book. He's called Theo Faber, and he's like a criminal psychologist who has a very weird interest in Alicia's case. I did not like the characters. Theo's character was very predictable. I didn't like how Alicia was painted as this really, really white and weak and helpless victim. And the other secondary characters, they were like different characters. They were just not well developed. For me, the characters need to like hold me. If the characters are not pulling me in, that's it for me. And then there's supposed to be a plot twist towards the end of the book, but I kind of knew that it was coming, so the plot twist was not twisting for me at all. And yeah, it was not for me a thriller. No, it wasn't a thriller. I'm not a big thriller reader, but I have read better thrillers. So this, unfortunately, was not for me. And the last audiobook that I listened to is called The End of Love, Racism, Sexism, and the Death of Romance by Sabrina Strings. Sabrina Strings offers us a sociological critique that examines how contemporary romantic norms have been shaped by history and systemic forces of racism and sexism. She's a professor of Black Studies, I believe, and she identifies as queer. And she delves really, really deep into the intersection of race, gender, and desire, arguing that modern romantic relationships are often influenced by deeply ingrained societal biases. So this book really, I loved how it critiques cultural phenomena like corn and the hip-hop culture, especially, you can see that now, especially how these two really perpetuate the stereotypes and contributes to this really, really terrible culture that devalues women, especially women who are Black, or as she puts it, women who are insufficiently. I would recommend this book if you're interested in the dynamics of dating, power, and love, because the book really intertwines historical context with contemporary issues that we see happening right now at the moment, especially on social media and on TV and everywhere. Everyone is talking about dating and romantic love. And I love just towards the end of the book, she really reiterates the importance of investing time in other relationships other than romantic relationships. She talks about investing time into family relationships, friendships, hobbies, activism. There's just so much. We are just putting so much into romantic relationships, and we are not getting, especially women, we are not getting the same or more effort from the other side. So let's diversify. Yeah. So those are the books that I read in April. Let me know if you've read any, and what did you read in April that you